Welcome to meeting number 24 of the House of Commons Standing Committee on Science and Research. We are continuing the study of the international moonshot programs, and we will begin with Dr. Banerjee. The floor is yours for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair and members of the committee, thank you for inviting me to this discussion. And the session is my first time, so I'm nervous and excited. I'm joining you from the Vaccine and Infectious Disease Organization. We are based at the University of Saskatchewan, which is situated on Treaty 6 territory and the homeland of the Métis. And I just had the privilege of coming back from the Royal Society of Canada's G7 One Health Research Summit at Lake Louise last week. And at the meeting, it became very clear that we need to focus on perhaps two things to protect the lives of Canadians from infectious diseases. First is to identify and address the drivers of emerging infectious diseases. And this includes a lot of factors, including climate change, land use change, and deforestation, and also to develop countermeasures and policies to protect human lives and lives of our livestock from emerging microbial threats. Now, if I may draw your attention to some statistics, greater than 70% of emerging infections have an animal origin. And we've only sampled and identified a fraction of microbes, including viruses, that exist in our wildlife. And we know even less about their potential to infect livestock species and humans. Even for pathogens that we do know exist and that those that can infect, vaccines and therapeutics remain unavailable. And some of these pathogens, unfortunately, have civilization devastating potential. If you look at Nipah virus, 40 to 70% mortality. So 40 to 75% of people that are infected are likely to die. MERS coronavirus, a very close relative of SARS-CoV-2 that we've all heard about, and it's a living reality for all of us. MERS-CoV can kill 35% of individuals it infects. And then you could always have the novel flu. And just as a reminder, the 1918 flu pandemic, Spanish flu, killed about 2.5 to 5% of the global population at the time. And multiple studies by my colleagues have now shown that anthropogenic factors, so activities that Homo sapiens or humans like doing, such as habitat loss and climate change, directly leads to animal migration, nutritional deficiencies in animals, which then directly impacts the pathogen spillover from these animals. So emerging infectious diseases pose a multifaceted, complex problem, which in my opinion will require, and perhaps some of my colleagues would agree, will require a multi-pronged and state-of-the-art and multidisciplinary approach with nationwide and international collaborations. And I hope that perhaps now we've got more appreciation of how quickly novel pathogens can emerge and impact humans, including fellow Canadians. And countermeasures remain unavailable largely due to lack of funding for pathogens that are not a problem yet. Prioritizing pathogens of importance and of threat will require AI modeling. So this is not just a health problem. We can also include quantum and modeling to identify risks, microbial risks for tomorrow. And while we need to build intelligence through modeling on emerging pathogens, we also need to test and archive vaccine and drug candidates that can be rapidly deployed in the event a pathogen emerges. For example, if we look at COVID-19, even with the fastest timeline in the history of vaccine development, we've still lost over 6.5 million lives globally. And these are only reported numbers globally, including over 47,000 fellow Canadians. So what I'm trying to pitch as an international moonshot program is the concept called One Health. It's a concept that recognizes the interconnectedness of human, animal, and environment health. And it's not a far-born idea. Sir William Osler, who was a Canadian physician and is perhaps considered by many the father of veterinary pathology in North America, had deep connections and interests in the linkages between human and veterinary medicine. And Sir William Osler went on to become one of the founding fathers of Johns Hopkins. So this is One Health was sort of born in Canada, and we're strategically positioned to lead this globally. So researchers in Canada have initiated globally competitive One Health research programs, including my laboratory that investigates zoonotic pathogens. But these programs it's scarcely funded. It's hard because we have to split up programs to fit the mandates of existing funding organizations. And I believe that we really have a unique opportunity in Canada to establish an internationally reputable, One Health themed, inter and multidisciplinary moonshot program that includes surveillance, quote unquote, intelligence gathering, risk assessment, so you got to rank priority pathogens, and therapeutics and vaccine development and outbreak detection and mitigation policies. So we truly have an opportunity to lead the way in developing a holistic research program to prevent the next pandemic and the next emerging infection. I will stop with that. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Dr. Banerjee, and I hope you feel comfortable. This is a group that is genuinely interested in learning from you. And now we're going to go to the Vice President of Research at the University of Saskatchewan, Dr. Singh. The floor is yours.
Madam Chair and the honorable members of the committee, I am so honored to have this opportunity to be in front of you. When the question came, what could Canada's international moonshot be? I thought of many possibilities, but the one that struck close to my heart based on what Canada can offer to the world was this world which is well-fed, food secure, and where people who have enough food to give to their children can send their kids to school. And this is the world that Canada always envisions to be a peaceful world all around us. So my idea for the moonshot is a food secure world which is peaceful. The reason Canada is potentially the only country in the world who can deliver this moonshot is based on three fundamental ingredients of any moonshot if we are going to be thinking about that. It got to be inspirational. Canadians have been inspired by a vision that for a world that's peaceful. We know that there cannot be peace without food security anywhere in the world. Canadians have made supreme sacrifices whenever called upon for the sake of peace and prosperity in this world. Therefore, Canadians can be inspired when it comes to feeding more than 8 billion people today around the globe. The second component of a moonshot is the credibility. Now, where does that credibility come that Canadians can think about delivering this outstanding international moonshot? First, we need large pieces of land that we can use in a sustainable way to grow food, whether it is of the plant origin or the animal origin. Second ingredient to grow the food is the water. Canada is endowed with abundant supply of the fresh water, which we are taking extreme precautions based on the science to make it sustainable over a long period of time. To fuel the production of plant-based food, we need fertilizers. Canada has abundance of fertilizers like potash. Yes, there is a need for us to transition away from heavy use of the fertilizers, and that's what Canadian innovation in the field of soil science, precision agriculture is leading us to. I believe with the right kind of investments, Canadian plant science people can deliver the type of varieties that can grow on the smaller amounts of precisely applied fertilizers, and we can grow the crops, develop the crops which can withstand climate change and global warming. The last piece is that Canadians have invested significantly in their cluster of academic institutions from coast to coast that have delivered innovation in all aspects of agriculture. That is the innovation that has made Canada's agri-food production sector to be envy of the world. And we have not only created prosperity and the new jobs in that sector, we have also exported the food which is affordable, which is nutritious, which is sustainably produced, and which actually carries the Canadian brand and makes us all very proud. And last piece is the investment during in the areas such as protein industry supercluster has brought academy and the private sectors together. The third ingredient of an international moonshot is imagination. That's where we need to come together as Canadians to be imaginative, to be collaborative, to bring ourselves together that this is the moonshot that we can deliver to create a food secure world with our efforts in this country. We need to pay attention to the sustainable development goals of the United Nations. We need to pay attention to the climate change that is occurring around us. We need to understand that large parts of this world are not in a position to produce enough food for their own population. So this, Madam Chair and the honorable committee members, is my idea for an international moonshot that Canada can deliver. Thank you so very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Singh. And we're glad to have you back at committee. It's really lovely to see you. And to all our witnesses, we thank you for being here. We're looking forward to